Tammy Slaton has had an absolutely insane transformation over the last year. It was just over a year ago now that Tammy was hospitalized and in a coma, but now, just a year later, she is a completely different person. I mean, look at her face in this seriously shocking video compared to this video from a year ago, and that is not all. You'll never believe everything that has changed about her. So her life has done a complete 180 in just a year's time, and it's pretty insane to see. And I gotta say, I don't think I ever expected Tammy to change her lifestyle this much. All of the changes that she's made are so far above and beyond what I thought would be possible for her, mostly because it seemed like no matter what she did, she didn't really care all that much, and her doctors and family would beg her to change her lifestyle, and she just really didn't care if she kept up with it or not, and she always had excuses. But now it seems like things have finally changed for the better for her, and I honestly think that she just saved her own life. But let's backtrack a little bit. We now know that Tammy has been in rehab for most of the last year to try to lose weight, and the last time she went to rehab, she didn't stay long because she left so that she could film season 3 of 1,000 Pound Sisters, but it seems like they just went to her for filming this time because she's still in rehab a year later and her life has completely changed. First things first, Tammy is now married. I think we've all heard about her marriage by now, but we don't really know the details yet. And that being said, there have been some little things here and there that have come out, and they're pretty crazy. And it seems like Tammy met her now husband, Caleb Willingham, at the rehab center where she lives, and they even allegedly got married there. And I don't know if that means that they can't leave the facility or if it was just easier to get married there than renting out a hall. But anyway, because of the alleged way that they've met, most people think that Tammy met Caleb because he's also in the same rehab as her, and he seems to have similar weight issues as her, and he's even in a wheelchair and has a trach-in just like Tammy. And I've got to say, this could go one of two ways. This could either mean amazing things for her weight loss journey because they're both on the same road to achieving health and wellness, and they could help motivate each other, unlike her past relationships where the men that she dated wanted her to stay big, or it could be negative, like if one of them falls off, the health wagon, then they both will. But as of right now, it's definitely a positive thing because Tammy's lost a ton of weight, but I'll get into that in just a second. There's one thing about her marriage that a lot of people haven't noticed yet, and that's that it actually is not a legal marriage. So allegedly, the paperwork was never filed for Tammy and Caleb to actually be married, and there are rumors that she didn't pay the application until after the wedding, which means that they'd need a second ceremony for the actual marriage to be legal. But there are other people that are questioning if the marriage was done entirely for the show, and it definitely would make sense, right? I mean, Tammy's suddenly in the best shape that we've ever seen her in since the show started. She's doing great, and she's happy and in love, and a wedding is the perfect storyline to wrap up the 4th season where all these amazing things have been happening in her life. So it would definitely make the most sense if the actual wedding itself was just for the show, and I honestly don't blame her for not making it a legal marriage if she keeps it that way. And we've watched her get used by the different men in her life so many times, and even though Caleb seems different than any of these other guys based on what we know about him right now, which isn't a lot to begin with, but you never really know what could happen, and they hadn't even been dating that long before they got quote-unquote married, and it honestly makes more sense to me if she takes some more time to get to know him before making it a legal marriage, even if it means that the entire wedding was just for the show. But let's get to that in a second. And in my opinion, the biggest thing, and that is Tammy's weight loss, because Tammy seems to have lost a lot of weight, and I've got to say, I'm so happy for her because a year ago, it seemed like her health was just getting worse and worse, and I really didn't know what was going to happen to her. But now, she seems to have taken control of her health in a major way, and the rumors around her insane weight loss started when she posted a TikTok of her face for the first time in a while, and she looks way different, and like different than we've ever seen her before. Her face looks super thin and narrow, and a lot of people were wondering if it was just because of the filter that she used, and at first glance it definitely seemed like a possibility. I mean, Tammy's been known to use filters that alter her appearance and make her look a lot thinner than how she actually looks in real life, but I really don't think that's the case here because the filter that she used is a Your Grinch character filter, and so it seems like the only real changes that it makes to your appearance is making your nose turn up like a Grinch character, and it makes your cheeks rosy, and it adds some fake eyelashes to your eyes. And this video is a pretty good example of the changes that it makes, and it's pretty obvious that it doesn't change the shape of your face or neck at all. So I think it's safe to say that the filter rumor has been debunked. But then, Tammy's husband Caleb debunked it even further when he posted a video of Tammy, and in the video she's working out, which first of all is great for her and a seriously amazing improvement, but it also makes it clear just how much weight she actually lost, because I mean, even just in her forearms you can see that she's lost a ton of weight. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm seriously impressed, and I'm not sure if she's still in the process of losing weight so that she can finally have her weight loss surgery, or if these results are because she's already had the weight loss surgery. But I'm sure that we'll find out in this season of 1,000 Pound Sisters, no matter what point she's at, whether she's had the surgery already or she's still just trying to lose weight to have the surgery. She seriously looks amazing. Even in her wedding pictures, you can tell that she's lost a ton of weight. And this is the first time ever that I have had hope for Tammy's weight loss journey, and I'm so glad that she's found happiness with Caleb. That seems to have motivated her to get fit and to take care of her health. And I know that a lot of people might think that she shouldn't put all of her happiness and motivation for getting healthy into a relationship, but the way that I see it when it comes to Tammy, at least, is that whatever it takes to get it to stick, just do it. And Tammy seriously needed a massive life change just to stay alive. So if that means using her relationship as motivation, then I guess so be it. But what do you guys think? I mean, can you believe this massive transformation? I personally cannot wait to see this all play out on the new season of 1,000 Pound Sisters.
No, I am not dead.
Tammy Slaton had one of the most shocking rise to fame of any TLC reality star. She went from some of the lowest lows to the highest highs as one of TLC's most successful stars. However, what no one realized at the time was that there were issues that were looming for Tammy just beyond the surface that would come back to bite her sooner than anyone had ever expected. Tammy had a rough upbringing in Kentucky that made her journey to reality TV fame all the more sweet. Tammy often talks about her mother, Darlene, had to work 3 jobs to make ends meet, and because of that, she and her sister Amy were mostly raised by their grandmother. It doesn't appear as though their dad was in the picture for very long, and he may have even passed away when the sisters were young. Although they had a more typical childhood when they were being raised by their grandmother, things quickly took a turn when Tammy was 12 and Amy was 10. Their grandmother unfortunately passed away, and from that point forward, Tammy and Amy were expected to take care of themselves. Life changed forever for the Slaton sisters after their grandmother's passing. They began to eat for survival, and both say that the time period is when their unhealthy eating habits began. According to the sisters, their mother didn't encourage them to show their emotions growing up, and as a result, they thought that having emotions was bad. It's clear that their unusual upbringing had a lasting impact on the rest of their lives, even now as they navigate their newfound fame and fortune. Amy and Tammy aren't the only members of the Slaton family, though. It's believed that they have at least 3 other siblings and many nieces and nephews. Those nieces and nephews had an unbelievable impact on the rest of her life. When Tammy was 14, she was asked to care for all of her nephews, and she says now that she was too young to be caring for them, but at the time she believed she wanted to work with kids when she grew up because of her experience taking care of them. The kids, unfortunately, did not think that was a good idea. Allegedly, one of her nephews came forward with allegations that she had harmed them while they were in her care. However, it doesn't appear as though those allegations were what ultimately caused Tammy not to follow her dreams of working with kids. Instead, it appears that she was unable to because of her rapid weight gain. As Tammy got older, she began to gain more and more weight until she was nearly unable to do anything, including taking care of her basic human needs. It was then that Amy and Tammy began to film videos and post them on YouTube, and at the time, Tammy was 28 and Amy was 26.
Since we can't go out for Halloween, we decided to have a little Halloween episode
Although they initially started them for fun, neither of the girls could have ever guessed how those videos would change their lives forever. They quickly gained a following on their YouTube channel, and it was then that the sisters were discovered by TLC. Although Tammy and Amy were originally supposed to be featured on another TLC show, Family by the Ton, when the producers saw how unique Amy and Tammy's dynamic was, they decided to pitch a show that was entirely about the two of them, and that's how 1,000 Pound Sisters was born.
How dare you? Peppermint patty with an egg roll.
Okay. Hold on.
Really?
It was then that Tammy and Amy's lives changed forever. The show took off almost instantly and went viral on the internet, in particular TikTok.
Try being my size, Amy. You don't know how it is.
There's stuff you can do. You
Just
want to be
drop
a big
it.
baby about everything.
I ain't baby. You're the damn baby.
Grow the up.
You first.
I've been grown. I pay my bills. My bills are paid.
It was extremely shocking for a TLC reality show to gain this type of traction from a viral video, and their rise to fame made that very clear. Overnight, Tammy and Amy went from absolutely unknown to two of TLC's biggest reality stars. It seemed like Tammy's life was on the up and up, but no one could have ever guessed how quickly things would change for her when everything came crashing down for the sister. The entire concept surrounding 1,000 Pound Sisters is Tammy and Amy's journey through weight loss so that they can live happier and healthier lives. And while Amy was able to lose the weight and keep it off, the same cannot be said for Tammy. Tammy, rather than losing the weight, continued to gain weight. Since the show started, she has faced a variety of very serious health issues. She's talked often about how her issues with gout many times before, and even told cameras that she has no cartilage left in her knees. She also has many dental issues, and although she says that she got them knocked out when she was in elementary school, that was proven to be false when old school pictures were unearthed. In the second season of the show, it was revealed that Tammy had gained 50 pounds in just 30 days, and that wasn't even the worst of her health problems. Just a few months later, in November of 2020, she contracted COVID, which is scary to begin with, but even more concerning when you're obese. People who struggle with obesity are believed to have a much stronger reaction to COVID than anyone else, and Tammy was no exception. She was forced to go to the hospital to start receiving oxygen, and she even got pneumonia during that time. Many people were scared for Tammy due to all of her pre-existing conditions and her bad reaction to the virus. However, Tammy survived her COVID experience, but it was really only the beginning of her health issues. Tammy tried to convince people that she was not struggling nearly as much as she was. On the internet, she hid many of her health issues from the public eye. But even still, it was clear that things were progressing so quickly for Tammy, and it was hard to believe that just a year before she was on top of the world with her successful reality show. It began in early 2021 when it appeared that Tammy was in a hospital or a living facility and that she was on oxygen. She claimed that she was not, but eventually came clean when the third season of 1,000 Pound Sisters premiered. It was also revealed that she had suffered from a blood clot that traveled to her lungs in April of 2021, and in the new season, Tammy explained that she had been living in a rehab facility to help her lose weight and that she was on oxygen, but that she ultimately decided to leave the facility. It seems as though she left so that she could continue to film her popular reality TV show. When she left the facility, it soon became clear just how rapidly Tammy was declining. As each episode premiered, Tammy's mobility got worse and worse. Amy attempted to find a nurse to help care for her and help her with basic functions, but it doesn't appear as though Amy's attempts did much because Tammy's health has only gotten worse since the show was filmed. Tammy revealed in November of 2021 that she had halted production of season 3 of 1,000 Pound Sisters due to mental health crisis. She said that this summer she had a mental breakdown of sorts, and although she didn't explain the reason, it seemed as though it had to do with her ex-boyfriend. Tammy had been with a man who was famous on TikTok for his love of overweight women. At the time, many fans were convinced that he was with her to help grow his fame and internet presence.
Tammy Slaton has found herself some love. He goes by the name the BBW King on TikTok. He cannot stand me, and apparently they are now dating. Well, y'all, amazing things are happening.
It appears that after he appeared on the show, the couple broke up, giving some credibility to those rumors. Their breakup happened around the same time that Tammy's mental health began to deteriorate. Since then, her physical health has gotten worse and worse as well. When Tammy explained her mental health issues, she was actually in the hospital. She said that although her mental health issues were now more under control, hospital, her physical health issues were not. She explained that she had been on life support just a few days earlier and that she was septic. Although she was out of the woods with those issues, her biggest health issues were not yet resolved. And the reason that she was in the hospital, she is suffering from obesity, hyperventilation syndrome, and dealing with carbon dioxide poisoning as a result. This happens when an obese person's body weight restricts their lungs capacity until they are no longer able to breathe carbon dioxide out of their bodies. Although this might not seem very serious on the surface, it can be fatal in many situations. Because of this issue, she got a tracheectomy. At the time, she claimed that she would be getting out of the hospital soon and being transferred to a rehab facility. However, fans don't have much hope for Tammy as she continues to gain weight and decline. Many believe that she is past the point of help. She has been off of social media since December 1st, and it's unclear how she's doing. No one in the family has shared any updates on Tammy, so no one is sure what is going on with her. As of her last update, she appeared to still be in the hospital, and she still had her tracheectomy in her throat. It's a terribly tragic situation, considering that just a year before Tammy was on the top of the world and at the peak of her life and career as a reality TV star.
No, I am not dead.
Oh my god, you guys, have you heard the most recent health update about Tammy from 1,000 Pound Sisters? Honestly, you guys, it wasn't looking so good for Tammy. We all know she had been struggling to lose weight. She just couldn't seem to follow the doctor's diet.
My diet is going okay.
But I finally have some breaking news about Tammy that I think everyone is going to be thrilled to hear. Alright, I don't want to waste any time. Here is the deal. This season's finale ended with a cliffhanger to end all cliffhangers. I couldn't believe it. I was so shocked. Tammy was in the hospital and was put into a medically induced coma, so we were all left wondering, is Tammy okay? And at this rate, how much longer could she possibly have? And even her family, like Chris and everyone else, was worried about her, wondering if she'll even make it. And you'll never believe how it all happened. So here is the deal. Tammy was finally ready to give rehab another try. This was pretty crazy considering that she left last time just so she could film the new season of 1,000 Pound Sisters.
She's okay, that this is proof she's okay. You know, everybody was asking about her.
But oh my god, you guys, literally right after Chris and his wife Brittany, who I love dearly, left her off at the center, they got a call about Tammy that she had stopped breathing. And the news got even worse from there. The doctor said that her lungs had just given up on her and her body was shutting down. And Tammy's sister Amanda said that they were starting to make funeral plans. I mean, can you believe it? I can't even imagine how scary that must have been for her entire family.
I ended up in the hospital because of carbon dioxide poisoning, which is, you know, the bad whatever, anyways. Excuse me. Which led into pneumonia, and I was septic.
And the next few days sounded even more terrifying. Chris said that they didn't know if she'd last throughout the night or even the next hour. But somehow, by the grace of God, Tammy pulled through and woke up 4 days later. After she regained consciousness, she told her family that she loved them and wanted to go home already. And I gotta say, I'm not too shocked by that. How many times have we seen Tammy go to get help only to beg her family to leave, you know, a few days later? But either way, I hated seeing her like that. I mean, she may not have had the most positive personality or even positive thoughts regarding me, but I'd still obviously love to see her make it. And I'm not sure if you guys remember a few months ago when I talked about Tammy's carbon dioxide poisoning and the pneumonia and the tracheectomy and that she was even septic at one point, but those all seem to be tied to her obesity. But we actually learned something new about her health on this season finale that I don't know about you guys, but I was not expecting. You will not believe this, but Tammy told her doctor that she drinks 8 bottles of liquor every single week. I mean, can you imagine?
I ain't had alcohol forever. I'm not planning on getting like drunk. I just want a drink, you know.
I mean, I knew she was a partier at least after, you know, her most recent breakup with the BBW King. We all saw it all over her TikTok. But
My family be like, you an alcoholic. And I am. I got my drink in my two-step, It's on, I'm on. Get the liquor and tell my friends, come on. Hey, AA meetings, you fire.
But still,
8 bottles a week? I was not expecting that. That is a lot. And you have to imagine that contributed a ton to her bad health, obviously. And Chris said it himself, Tammy has had health problems without adding fuel to the fire, but this isn't the first time she's been in rehab for her weight. And we all obviously saw in season 2, Tammy went into rehab and she actually lost 60 pounds. She only had 40 more pounds to go until she could possibly have gotten, surgery like Amy did, but then she left the treatment center early and she promised to continue her diet and exercise at home, but obviously instead she gained the weight back almost immediately. So doesn't it seem like it's the same old story with Tammy over and over and over again? But that's not even the worst part, because we actually learned that she gained 21 more pounds this season. She didn't lose anything. And it's been really, really hard to watch. So I don't know about you guys, but it started to seem like it was a lost cause, hoping that Tammy would ever lose any weight. Well, guys, thankfully, the sun is shining because Tammy actually finally is doing better. I am so ecstatic to report and announce that we have some pretty breaking news about Tammy, since she's been back in rehab this time after her last round of health issues that almost led to her passing away.
I can tell in my pictures I've lost some weight. Whether y'all think I have or not, I really don't care.
And I honestly cannot believe I'm about to say this, but it's been years of hoping that Tammy would take control of her health and take her weight loss journey seriously. We've all been so worried that something would, happen to her sooner rather than later. Well, I'm happy to tell you guys all that Tammy finally seems to be taking her weight loss seriously. Tammy is back at the weight loss rehab center, and guys, get this, she has already lost 115 pounds in just 30 days.
What? All right, I looked into this. I looked everywhere. I do not believe a Slaton sister has passed away. Thank you, God. I adore Tammy. Tammy's lost over 100 pounds. I think she's doing great. I don't think this is true.
So if she can stick to this program or whatever she is doing, she should be able to get the surgery to further help her weight loss, and better yet, she might actually have a chance at, living a long, healthy life. So this is amazing news, great news. We all obviously want to see her succeed before it's too late. And Tammy did admit that she just had a mental breakdown after she and Philip, the BBW King, broke up. Between that and her scary hospital stay, it seemed like she had a lot of issues to worry about, and I kind of figured that her weight loss journey was the last thing on her mind. Not gonna lie, you guys, I definitely did give up some hope that she was even still serious about her weight loss journey at all, but I am so happy to admit, you guys, that I was wrong. I mean, 115 pounds of weight loss is absolutely insane for Tammy if it is true, and I assume it is true because it was all over the show at the end of the episode, and I really hope that is the case. So here's what we know so far. Tammy's only been in the rehab center for 30 days, and she's allegedly lost already 115 pounds, and if you go on her TikTok, social media, her pictures do look like she has lost some weight. And honestly, this is amazing for her, but I am kind of curious, I will say, is there ever a point where you're losing too much weight at once? Maybe not for her. I have no idea, just a thought I wanted to throw out there, considering her weight loss would solve a ton of other health issues. Her doctor even told her that if she can just get down to 500 pounds, she can immediately leave the rehab facility and get the weight loss surgery that she's been trying to get. So I'm sure that has to, motivate her a lot. But there have also been some interesting allegations about Tammy's time at the rehab center that kind of have me wondering how much longer she'll be allowed to stay there. I mean, look, we all know how Tammy can be. We all watch the show. We all have seen 1,000-Pound Sisters. We know she's not always the most pleasant person to be around. I'm sorry, Tammy, God bless you, but it's just the truth. And especially when it's coming to her losing weight. And apparently, some people think that she seems angry in her most recent TikToks, and they've been noticing that she's been cursing more in a lot of them. And I watch the TikToks that everyone's talking about, and I personally don't think they're all that bad for Tammy. I mean, we've seen way worse behavior from Tammy over the years than just a few silly TikToks. But that's not the only criticism that people are making about Tammy. A lot of people are bringing up the point that, did Tammy only lose weight because she was in the coma for 2 weeks? And honestly, I hate to say it, guys, but it would kind of make sense. I hate to be so negative, but it does definitely kind of make sense. Obviously, she wasn't able to eat, or rather overeat for that matter, and if she was in a coma for 2 weeks, it just kind of all makes sense. So I hate to say it, but I really hope that's not the case. I really and just truly genuinely hope that Tammy is actually making changes to change her life once and for all and improve her quality of life. But But, you guys, it really wouldn't shock me. I mean, we've watched Tammy try to start her weight loss journey over and over again, and it's never stuck. Now, all of a sudden, in just 4 short weeks, she's lost 115 pounds, and 2 of those 4 weeks, she was in a coma. So, yes, I really do hate to say it, you guys, but I would not be very shocked if this massive weight loss was a result of her just being in a coma. And of course, I really hope I'm wrong, and I hope she continues to lose weight and get healthy. I can't even imagine how much it would just improve her quality of life, and honestly, it would add so many years to her life. So yes, I do wish her the best. I can't imagine how hard the last few months have been for her and her entire family. And while we are talking about 1,000-pound sisters, I do want to add, one other quick thing about Amy while we are talking about the show. You guys will never believe what's going on now. Will 1,000-pound sisters actually potentially get canceled? Well, Tammy's health has jeopardized her ability to be on the show, but now, guess what's going on with Amy? You guys, Amy said she wants to quit 1,000-pound sisters and that the stress is just getting to her. From being a mom and working is not easy, and Amy said that she needs to spend more time with Gage and preparing for the new baby. So she said that the filming schedule is also super stressful. Amy said that she feels like she's a bad mom when she's at work and that she's losing her valuable time with her son. So is this going to be the end of the line for 1,000-pound sisters? Well, hey, I sure hope not, but then again, Tammy's health issue, situation is scary. She's losing weight, but has done so kind of a lot of damage to her body. And Amy just wants to be a mom. She's tired of the hectic schedules and not getting enough time with her family. So in just 3 years, a lot has changed for the Slaton sisters, especially Amy. And Tammy, you guys already know I really, truly, sincerely wish her the best. I do. I know me and her have gone our both ways throughout the last year or whatnot, but I have only positive things to say about her. I wish her the best. Hope she has health, wealth, ton of happiness.
Do you ever think that I might have health problems that might be causing some of the reason I'm big? No!
Oh my god, you guys, there have been a lot of rumors going around about Tammy Slaton and how she might potentially be leaving us on 1,000-pound sisters.
We haven't started filming for season 4 yet. It's gonna be quite a while before it airs.
And on top of that, many people have been speculating that Amy will actually be taking over as the main star on the show from now on. And honestly, there is a lot of crazy stuff going on that I just cannot wait to get into it. So I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get into it.
I would love to give you a weight loss update, but you would have to wait until season 4 comes out. Sorry, just know that I'm staying on track and everything is looking up.
So I think it's pretty safe to say that we've all been super excited for the next season ever since the season 3 finale aired. I mean, things got really crazy. Tammy, for one, was in a coma and is now in a weight loss rehab, and Amy is pregnant again. So it really looked like season 4 was going to be the craziest and most dramatic one yet until now.
Don't look like it's happening anytime soon.
Because basically, we have no idea what's going to happen with season 4, but it looks like there might be some massive changes coming our way. The main one being Tammy's potential absence. Now, not that long ago, Tammy teased season 4 on her TikTok. When someone asked about her weight loss, she said that she couldn't actually share any updates with us, and that this was because we would just have to wait until season 4. And she really made it seem like season 4 was already filming, and she was going to be involved, but now it seems that she might have been lying about it all this time. So first of all, season 4 has not yet started filming. We know this for multiple reasons, including the fact that Tammy eventually revealed that herself.
We haven't started filming for season 4 yet. It's gonna be quite a while before it airs.
So did Amy, actually, who said that TLC hasn't reached out to her family yet about the newest season. They both seem to be in the dark about the show's future as much as, we all are at the moment. Although, it's kind of impossible to say what's going on behind the scenes for sure, and if they do actually know more than they're letting on.
Hey guys, today's video is graciously sponsored by Fetch. Fetch Rewards is a super easy to use free app where you can earn free rewards on literally anything you buy. Just scan any receipt or e-receipt from literally anywhere, and you will immediately earn points that can be redeemed for hundreds of rewards including Amazon and Visa gift cards. I mean, it only takes a matter of seconds to scan your receipt and start earning rewards. As you guys can see, it is so easy to use. I had this paper receipt right here, and all I have to do is scan it and I immediately earn points. And you can also do e-receipts, and you can scan your first receipt if you use the code CelebTalkGuy, and you'll receive 3,000 bonus points. Yes, you heard me right, 3,000 bonus points. Fetch is totally, completely, 100% free and so easy to use. So just download Fetch today and use my code CelebTalkGuy for 3,000 bonus points. And this is a limited time offer for only my viewers, so make sure you download the app today. And thanks again to Fetch for sponsoring this video.
But anyway, it's not just that. You know, what's really weird is that the show still actually hasn't been officially renewed for a 4th season. So not only are they not filming yet, but we don't even know if they plan to start filming at all ever, which sounds kind of crazy, but you just never know. So since we don't have any official news, it's entirely possible that the show might just get canceled, which honestly, I hope is not the case, especially not after how season 3 ended. But to be honest, you guys, I don't think it's very likely that the show will get canceled. Now, realistically, it's one of the most popular TLC shows, so I just don't see them, you know, not renewing it. So that wouldn't make any sense. I really believe that we will be getting a season 4. The question is, what will season 4 look like? And that's definitely going to become more and more difficult to predict at this point. There is a very strong possibility that season 4 will be happening without Tammy. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm finding it extremely difficult to imagine the show without her. I mean, Tammy has really been the main source of chaos during these past couple seasons, and I don't know what the show would even look like without her. But sadly, it's possible that we might find that out soon enough, because while Tammy has been dropping hints about the next season, fans seem to think that she's really just speculating about what could happen, and she doesn't actually know anything. So Tammy is known for stirring the pot, and hate to go there, but exaggerating the truth a little bit here and there on her social media, so this would not surprise me at all. And people do think that Tammy might not be returning for the next season for many reasons, one of which is that she is currently still in the rehab facility and might not actually be able to film from there. And with what Amy recently said about how Tammy could potentially spend years in rehab, it's not clear what her future on the show might look like. But then again, you know, why is Tammy talking about season 4 on her social media? That just seems like super strange to me. Why bring all the attention to it? Is it just, you know, to keep people interested in what she's doing so they keep coming back? You know, some fans online have been speculating that Tammy's comments about the next season are actually a distraction that she has been using, and she's just talking about season 4 so much as a way to keep people from focusing on her weight loss. Because from what I can tell, the part of Tammy's life is not going as great as it was a few months ago. So I think it's safe to say that, you know, we were all happy when we found out that Tammy lost over 100 pounds since being admitted to the hospital, and we all thought that maybe this time Tammy would actually take, you know, her health seriously and was trying to genuinely lose weight for once. But now it seems like this might not be the case for sure, because she shared a couple of photos online recently, and in some of them it looked like she had lost some weight, but we have since found out that a lot of those pictures had a lot of filters on them and weren't, you know, super accurate at all. And from some other pictures, it seems like she is pretty much about the same way that she's always been. We can't say for sure, but it just appears that way with these pictures. So it's honestly heartbreaking. It's sad. She has been in rehab for a while now. I do wish her the best, but you would expect that there would be some more change if there isn't as much as it appears. But it just looks like Tammy might not be taking it as serious as we all were kind of hoping and thinking, because some people were also quick to point out that while Tammy did lose all that weight, it might have been because she was in a coma. So of course she lost some weight like that, but maybe she hasn't really been trying to lose anything since. I mean, it definitely looks like that's a possibility from the pictures. And I just don't get how that's even possible. Like, the rehab facility is controlling what she eats, I'm almost positive. So at a certain point, wouldn't she just naturally lose the weight? But maybe she wants to keep her fans on their toes, and that's why she's been avoiding talking about her weight loss and focusing on, you know, dropping comments about season 4 on the show instead. I mean, it's definitely one way to avoid disappointment of, you know, us that we might feel if she isn't actually taking this as seriously as we were hoping. But Tammy being in this facility isn't the only reason she might not be available to be on the show, because apparently Chris mentioned that he believes Tammy needs to become a ward of the state.
But please still keep her in her prayers, because we need everything we can get.
And if this is true and it were to happen, that would mean many different things and would potentially change a lot. So, for example, Amy and Chris would actually have less responsibility for Tammy, Tammy and what she does, but mainly it would mean that Tammy wouldn't necessarily be able to make the same decisions that she has been making for a while now, and she has repeatedly done things that have actively harmed her, physical well-being, and if she become a ward of the state, this could potentially change. Now, while if this is true, it does seem like a pretty drastic move on Chris's part, and I can also see why he might be considering something like this, especially if the theories are right and Tammy is not taking her weight loss seriously yet again, so it could potentially lessen the burden that Tammy's decisions have on Chris and Amy, and it might make Tammy actually lose some weight this time around, so it's hard to say if this will happen or not, but if Chris does actually go there, then it might also mean yet again that Tammy wouldn't be able to film for the show, meaning this is just yet another potential reason for all the rumors about Tammy's season 4 absence. And I think if this is true, then the family has a difficult decision in front of them, which I don't envy them at all, but it also means that if Tammy isn't actually coming back for the show, the focus might shift to Amy, and that's honestly a huge topic of discussion too. With Tammy away, it would make sense that Amy would become the sole main face of the show, but this also raises so many questions, like would she even want to do this, because she originally did the show because she wanted to lose some weight so that her pregnancy was healthier and safer, and she did achieve that, and she even got the surgery, but since then she has been more focused on her family and found it difficult to even be on the show in general. But apparently Amy said that she might be up for it, and she said that she loves the crew of the show and would even, consider filming more often. But she still says that she would need time off to be with her family, so it's not clear to me how that would work. And I also think that the show is so popular and such a big opportunity for the family that they will for sure work something out. But I don't think we will have to be afraid that there wouldn't be enough for TLC to cover. The only thing that I have been a little bit worried about is if the show would still be as entertaining without Tammy, because like I said, Tammy has always been the one causing the most chaos and the drama and all the laughs, and let's be honest, you guys, that's the part that makes us all so addicted to the show. But without Tammy, would we miss out on all that drama? Well, actually a lot of people have been saying that Amy might not just replace Tammy as the main star, but also as the main villain of the show, and I, for one, find this idea kind of fascinating and also kind of likely and also kind of just stupid. I mean, if you think about it though, Amy's main focus has always been the health of her pregnancy, and she decided to lose some weight for the sake of her family, but now she's having a second baby, and this might mean that she will eventually become less and less focused on actually losing weight. And some people on Reddit even mentioned that not only is Amy gaining some weight again, which might be from the pregnancy, but that she also doesn't seem all that interested in losing weight anyway. So it's quite possible that she might spiral after she has her second child, especially since she's sad that this will be her last baby. And I mean, this is all speculation obviously, you guys, but she has previously said that Gage does make her want to eat and live more healthily, especially since he seems to really love vegetables and fish and all that kind of stuff. But how long will that last? And if she isn't planning on having another baby, she might not feel motivated enough to keep up with her weight loss, like I said. So fans have noticed that she's already put on quite a few pounds since having Gage, and it just seems like her priorities may have slightly shifted now that she has a family of her own, which of course is common for any new mom, but it's not ideal when you have so much riding on your health like Amy does. So if she was to become the star of the show with all of this in mind, she might even take on some of Tammy's resistance to maintaining a healthy body weight, and she could potentially be replacing Tammy in more ways than one. Not that that's a very good thing. And but I'm really curious to see what's in store for this show in season 4. We don't know what's going to be in it and when it's all going to happen, but there are just so many unknowns, but that honestly makes it even more exciting. I mean, don't you guys think?
I mean, I was on like 15 liters of oxygen, and now I'm on 3.
Recently, Tammy from 1000 Pound Sisters has been doing a lot better, and it looks like she might finally be doing something about her health, and you'll never believe the amazing news about Tammy Slaton's health. So over the past year, Tammy has been trying to get healthier. She went through a near-death experience when her lung collapsed, and it seems like ever since then, she's been taking things more seriously. She's been staying in a rehab center in Ohio, which has definitely been helping her get better and lose weight, and it looks like things might finally be looking up for Tammy because she just shared an amazing health update. Tammy recently posted a video on TikTok, and in it, she talked about her ex, Philip Redman, and the video clearly wasn't meant to be a health update. It was just her talking about Philip, but she accidentally revealed something in the video that just made me so happy to see. So in the TikTok video, you can clearly see Tammy's healing windpipe, and after her lung collapse, the doctors had to give her a breathing tube, and she's been using a trach to help her breathe ever since. And we've all been been wondering if she's been getting better and if the doctors were going to remove the trach at some point. Now it looks like that they actually might, and it might happen sooner than we thought. Basically, it looks like Tammy's trach has been capped, and this is amazing news because what the cap means is that Tammy's been breathing all on her own, and the cap prevents air from coming in through the tube, which means that Tammy has to use her own nose and mouth to breathe, and that's just incredible news because it means that she's actually getting better. And apparently having your trach capped is, one of the last steps before the trach can be removed, and so it looks like Tammy might finally be getting somewhere, and I honestly couldn't be happier about this news. I just feel like, we've been on such a long journey with Tammy. She's been trying to lose weight and improve her health for ages now, but I feel like she's never actually taken it all that seriously. And I mean, Amy had her gastric bypass surgery ages ago, and because she really wanted to have her baby, but for the longest time, Tammy was just being, Tammy and doing whatever she felt like at any given moment. But after what, happened with her near-death experience, I think she's finally realized that she needs to take this more seriously, and it looks like that's what she's been doing, and she even broke up with her boyfriend Philip, or the BBW King, and I feel like that might be good for her in the long run too. And Tammy hasn't been all that active on her social media recently, and she has been posting a bit more over the last couple of weeks, and she did come back to talk about the breakup, which is how we found out about the cap. And the video she posted was an answer to a fan's question, and someone asked her about Philip, and she shared her thoughts on their relationship, and she just said that she didn't really want to discuss the situation in detail, and she still thinks Philip is a good guy, but they just aren't together anymore, and that the whole thing was really personal, and she didn't want to talk about it. And it's pretty clear that something must have happened between them. I mean, there were all these cheating rumors, and so it's not like, the relationship was perfect by any means, and plus, he was into feeding, which meant that he would often make Tammy lose her progress, so maybe that's why they broke up. And, Tammy's clearly been taking her whole weight loss journey more seriously, which might mean that she didn't, want to be around someone who supported her worst habits. And I'd say that this is definitely a good sign in that Tammy might actually achieve her goals this time around. And like I said, she hasn't had her gastric bypass surgery yet. She hasn't qualified for it, but she's been in the rehab center for a while now, and apparently her surgery has been booked for late summer, and it was originally supposed to be in June, and then it got rescheduled for late July, and I haven't seen any news about whether it has actually happened yet or not. And they might be waiting for the trach to come out first, or they might be keeping the whole thing a secret, but either way, I'm pretty sure we'll get to see it in the new season. And I mean, technically, there hasn't been any official word about season 4 of the show, but I think it's pretty likely that we're going to get it eventually. While TLC hasn't confirmed it yet, Tammy did mention that the cameras have been visiting her, and this was a couple of months ago, so I think we can assume that they were filming her journey in rehab. And plus, Tammy's been really open about how she wants to do another season, and how she would continue doing the show even without Amy. And Amy isn't as excited about filming as Tammy is, which makes sense considering that Amy has now 2 kids that she needs to take care of, and filming can take up a lot of time. But either way, I can't wait to find out more about Tammy and her weight loss journey, and I feel like her health has just been such a roller coaster, but I'm actually feeling kind of optimistic about the situation right now. And actually, speaking of Tammy's health, recently I noticed that someone on Reddit pointed out that Tammy hasn't been wearing her retainers, which I thought was really weird. I mean, she got those retainers back in season 2 when she went to visit the dentist, and we found out that, just how bad her dental hygiene was. And I mean, she literally admitted that she tries to brush her teeth twice a week, not twice a day, a week, and that is just so insane to me. And her teeth just aren't the best, not just because she hasn't been brushing them, but also because throughout most of her life she's been living on a sugary snacks and drinks, which will ruin your teeth pretty fast. But when she went to the dentist during season 2, she was giving her retainers, but we haven't actually seen her wear them in ages now. And there was a story about how they were stolen, but I don't know if I believe it, but it just sounds so made up. Like, why would anyone ever steal her retainers? And I mean, it's possible that we don't get to see her with the retainers because TLC tells her to take them out during filming, but I don't know why they would do that, especially considering that we saw her at the dentist and we know that she has them, and I also kind of doubt that she doesn't need them anymore. So it's honestly a mystery to me as to why she hasn't been wearing them. She seems to have finally been taking her health seriously, so you'd think this would include taking care of her teeth, but maybe not. I mean, it's Tammy. Even though, she's been doing a lot better, she's still not going to be perfect, and she's been on such a long journey with all this, and she's given up and quit so many times, and it kind of feels like a miracle that it's all been going so well this time around. I just hope it continues this way because I really want Tammy to get better and get rid of the trach and qualify for her surgery. And I really hope TLC is actually filming all this because I want to see it on the show, and hopefully we'll get news about season 4 sometime soon. They've clearly been filming for it, so there must be something in the works, right? But what do you guys think? Can you believe that Tammy's trach has been capped? And when do you think she'll have her surgery? Guys, let me know in the comments below.
They wed in a small celebration in front of 30 friends and family.
Tammy Slaton just got married to a man named Caleb Willingham out of nowhere, and now we're all pretty curious about who Caleb actually is.
In late October, Caleb proposed to his now wife.
And what I managed to find out about Tammy's new husband will definitely surprise you.
So seeing my struggles, he's kind of used to it.
Caleb and Tammy got married on November 20th, 2022 after getting engaged in October of the same year.
The couple met at the rehab center and eventually fell in love there.
We know that they met in rehab in Ohio.
He makes me happy, and I can honestly say this is happiness.
But I don't want to waste any time, so here is the deal. According to his Facebook, Caleb is originally from Indiana, and it seems that he was most likely born in Evansville, Indiana. He then lived in New Borough, Indiana for some time, and although his About section on Facebook still cites that that is his current home, this might not be up-to-date information out there. We obviously know that nowadays Caleb is in Ohio, but before he moved to the rehab center, Caleb actually made a post that he was moving, and he said that due to some circumstances, he was moving from New Borough to Connorsville, Indiana, and Caleb made this announcement on his Facebook in January of 2022, and while it's not clear if he actually ever made the move to Connorsville, this does still give us some idea about when he and Tammy might have met, and we know that Tammy checked into the rehab center around, towards the end of 2021, and she then had some serious health complications and spent some time in the hospital, but this was when she first moved there, and based on Caleb's Facebook post, it doesn't seem like he was in Ohio at the time. If he was planning on moving from New Borough to Connorsville in January of 2022, his move to the Ohio Center must have happened sometime after that, and I have no idea if he ever actually moved to Connorsville or if he went straight to Ohio instead, but he and Tammy probably didn't meet before February of 2022, and this means that they most likely got engaged after only 8 months of knowing each other at the most. And ever since the news of their relationship broke, people have been pointing out how this might actually be a good thing for Tammy. Because an insider talked to The Sun about their relationship, and they said that Tammy and Caleb's relationship has been pretty great so far. The insider shared that they were happy that Tammy and Caleb met in person and weren't dating online, and apparently the two of them have a lot of the same struggles that they can share, and they've supposedly been a huge support for each other in rehab, and it's been awesome to see. And based on Caleb's Facebook page, this would actually make a lot of sense, because there is one thing that's clear from all of his posts, and that's that he's been struggling with his health for a while now. In one of his posts from 2021, Caleb revealed that he'd been diagnosed with diabetes, but that's not all, because Caleb has also openly talked about his depression, and it's clear that his health issues have been both physical and mental, because towards the end of 2021, Caleb apparently spent a lot of time in the hospital, just like Tammy, and from his posts, it seems like he was in and out of the hospital a lot during that time, and even spent weeks there. And in one post that he shared around New Year's of 2022, he admitted that the previous year had been really difficult on him, and he said that at this point his life was on the line. It wasn't new year, new me. His situation got so severe that it was more along the lines of new me or no me, and he assured everyone that he wasn't going to give up though. And from this, I honestly think that he must have been checked into rehab around February of 2022, because it's been clear that he'd been struggling for a while, and I just can't see him getting treatment much later than that. And one of Caleb's Facebook posts from the summer of 2021 also revealed that Caleb had been living in a nursing home, and this was made pretty clear after one of his friends organized a fundraiser for Caleb after some of his property got stolen from the home where he was in the hospital. And the fundraiser was successful, and Caleb even thanked everyone for their generous donations himself. And if there's one thing that's clear from his social media, it's that even though he's been through a lot, he has a lot of people around him who care about him very much, and Caleb also seems to be close with his family, and on March 8th of 2022, he made a touching post celebrating his father. His dad had sadly passed away, but Caleb decided to post something on what would have been his dad's birthday anyway, and he shared a post of him and wrote about how much he missed him, and he also wrote that he knew his dad would be proud of the moves he was about to make. And I wonder if this meant that, he was going to rehab then, or if he was maybe referring to his relationship with Tammy. But like I said, this post was made in early March, so either of those is a possibility. And Caleb also seems to have a very good relationship with his brother. He shared a selfie of the two of them together after his brother came to visit him at the hospital, and other than that, Caleb is also a supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement, and he overall just seems to be a pretty nice guy. And this is good news for everyone that's been worried about Tammy and their relationship, because we all know that Tammy doesn't exactly have the best relationship track record. She was previously with the BBW King, aka Philip Redman, and that relationship was really bad for her, but things just seemed different with Caleb. And after the two of them got married, Tammy talked to People magazine and made a surprising announcement. She said that, we all knew me as Tammy Slaton, but now you'll all know me as Mrs. Tammy Willingham. And she also said that their wedding day was absolutely perfect, and there was apparently a lot of love in the room. And when it comes to Caleb, she said that he was her best friend, and that she was happy that she got to literally marry her best friend. And the two of them seemed really sure about their relationship, and that much was clear when they got married just a couple of weeks after their engagement. And Caleb proposed to Tammy in the parking lot outside of the Ohio rehab. They actually got married in the rehab center as well, which is pretty sweet since this is where they first met. And as far as we know, both Caleb and Tammy are still in the rehab center, and we don't know when they'll be, moving out of there, but we do know some of the stuff about their future plans. And right now, the two of them are planning to live together in Kentucky, and Caleb will reportedly move in with Tammy after they leave the center. And we also get to see more of their relationship on the show, and it's been said that we'll see a lot more of their romance in the newest season, which did start on January 17th, and hopefully we'll finally find out when and how exactly these two met and how they first got together. And I can't wait to see how all this plays out and to find out more about Caleb himself.
We need to get you back down to my office. We need to get you in with the cardiologist.
It has finally been confirmed that Tammy Slaton has actually had her weight loss surgery, and now that the big news has been revealed, you're never going to believe the astonishing details about it. So guys, for over a year, us super fans of 1,000 Pound Sisters have been wondering whether or not Tammy managed to qualify for her weight loss surgery. And even though the show is currently airing, the footage is really far behind the present day, and for several months now there have been subtle signs that the procedure has already happened, but now we finally have actual confirmation that not only did Tammy have her weight loss operation, but it was also successful. And one of the ways the surgery was confirmed is just flat out bizarre. So if you're a devout follower of the Slaton siblings, I'm sure you probably already know that Tammy has been posting TikToks very regularly, especially recently, and I'm actually pretty surprised that Tammy's social media use and interview topics haven't been taken down by TLC yet, especially because she's kind of been revealing updates on her life that are just pretty insane. So one of Tammy's biggest life changes over the last year was obviously getting married to her now husband, Caleb Willingham, and just recently Tammy opened up to E! News about her big day and seemingly gave the outlet more information than they might have expected. And according to E! News, Caleb is also a resident at the weight loss facility where Tammy has been living, and the couple tied the knot at the rehab center in November, and Tammy is still feeling like she's on top of the world. But the publication also revealed another interesting detail that is just jaw-dropping. So believe it or not, E! News confirmed that Tammy did in fact have gastric bypass surgery, and also she's still currently living at the rehab facility so the doctors can keep an eye on her progress a little easier. And I feel like the weight loss procedure might be one of Tammy's most exciting updates ever. I mean, she's been working toward that goal for years, and that's not to say I'm not over the moon for Tammy and Caleb's newly newlywed status though, but even if the outlet hadn't confirmed her surgery or marriage, Tammy has been exposing it all right before our eyes anyway. So, I'm pretty amazed that Tammy has already changed her last name to Caleb's last name on TikTok, since her wedding hasn't aired yet on season 4 of 1,000 Pound Sisters, but I'm not so sure that revealing her new last name would have mattered much anyway, because Tammy's recent TikToks have been telling us everything we've been patiently waiting to find out, and it's just kind of shocking. So in one of Tammy's very telling videos, she looked more motivated than ever as she exercised using some of the gym equipment at the rehab facility, and the original video, which was taken by Caleb, was posted as a duet to Tammy's feed, and you could tell she was clearly proud of herself. And to tell you the truth, I'm really happy for Tammy and proud of her too. I mean, I think this was the most determined I've ever seen her, and maybe she really needed support in the form of Caleb hyping her up like he did in the video caption, because she looked entirely committed to her workout. And speaking of how Tammy looked, her new appearance is honestly unbelievable. So in even more of Tammy's newest TikTok, she's been showing off her trimmer figure, and I seriously cannot believe how noticeably different she looks, and I'm certain this is the lowest weight we have ever seen her at. I mean, Tammy's face and her arms and basically everywhere else on her body appear to be undeniably slimmer than ever, and it's obvious that Tammy is dedicated to her health journey nowadays, which is just such a drastic change. And in previous seasons, Tammy didn't seem confident in her ability to stick to her plan, and it's safe to say that anyone who's watched 1,000 Pound Sisters before knows how bad her attitude used to be. But I have to admit, even on the current episodes that are airing, there are times when Tammy just doesn't seem that dedicated to making a change. At least that was the case until the most recent episode, when she made an astounding discovery. And in order to qualify for her weight loss surgery, Tammy had to get her weight down to 550 pounds. And not too long ago, she was at her heaviest weight ever at 717 pounds. And so when one of the most recent scenes showed that Tammy had dropped down to a stunning 534 pounds, I was super ecstatic for her, and I guess, we're finally starting to see the positive results of Tammy's hard work playing out on screen. But speaking of what we're about to see for the rest of the season, you'll never guess what mind-boggling details Tammy just revealed. So in a recent TikTok, Tammy opened up about the conflict she was dealing with behind the scenes, and she confessed that she really wanted to be able to answer everyone's comments and questions about her weight and hair and clothes and marriage, but she couldn't, and I can't imagine how tricky it must be to try to keep so many big secrets under wraps, especially when her followers, can clearly see that there have been big changes made in her life. But apparently, Tammy isn't allowed to talk about the major updates yet because she's still under contract with TLC, but she did, however, share some very exciting news about filming, and it's pretty insane. So according to the tea that Tammy just spilled on TikTok recently, she's already finished filming the first half of season 4, and it turns out that what we're seeing on TV is now considered season 4A, and it has 8 episodes. But I guess TLC decided to change their filming schedule so that the viewers weren't always watching what happened a year earlier, and Tammy claimed that the second set of 8 episodes, which will make up for season 4B, was just starting, to be filmed at the end of January, and hopefully we won't have to wait until like 2024 to see the last half of season 4 though. And I think everyone is more than ready to catch up with all of Tammy's health and weight loss updates. But there's actually been another unbelievable change in her life, and it's her more, recent than her wedding or surgery. So at the end of December, Tammy's TikToks were looking a little different than usual, and after attempting to hide bandaged areas on her neck in a few videos, Tammy seemingly just gave up trying to cover it, and I feel like it would have been basically impossible to keep this a secret though. But apparently Tammy had her trach removed recently, and when she went through her terrifying hospital experience that almost ended her life, she had no option but to have a trach placed. And now that she seemingly no longer needs it, I feel like that could just be the start of even more good news to come. But not everyone is convinced that Tammy is finally committed to staying on track and bettering her health, and this is honestly just outrageous. So Tammy and Caleb recently posted some TikToks where, they reviewed different snacks together, which was a big red flag to some of her followers, and I feel like it might not have caused such a commotion if the snacks were like really healthy, but the snacks that they were eating were freeze-dried candy, and sugary treats and other food like birthday cake flavored cookie dough. And obviously Tammy shouldn't have, to go to the rest of her life without being allowed to have an occasional treat, but because of her unhealthy relationship with food and all the, health struggles it's caused her, it's tough not to be a little worried about her recent snacking habits. And Tammy even made a follow-up TikTok after realizing how much backlash she got for the snack review series, but it didn't exactly help her case, and this was kind of just ridiculous. So in the newer video, Tammy begged her followers to not judge her for allowing herself to have some treats, but the way she explained her feelings was just a little bit bizarre, to be honest. And she claimed that nobody cares if a thin person eats a lot, but if a heavier person has a little candy, people lose their minds over it. And well, I can see that, her point and what she's trying to make and whatnot, but I don't think it's the same in her situation because Tammy is still recovering from a serious weight loss surgery, and usually operations like that have very strict guidelines that patients have to follow, and not to mention she's still in a weight loss, rehab facility and is still needing to use an oxygen tube. So I'm not trying to be harsh by explaining the difference here, but I really don't think Tammy realizes how many more steps she has left before she turns the corner into recovery. But there's no denying that Tammy has done amazing work. I mean, she has come such a long way in her journey, and I hope she's going to be careful, and it would be devastating if she risked her health again and went back to where she was at, for so long. But anyway, aside from the recent snack mishap, Tammy seems to have made some pretty unbelievable progress, and now that we finally have confirmation that she had a successful weight loss surgery, I'm curious to know what you guys think.
Sometimes I feel like a victim and want to be free.
Guys, it has just been revealed that Tammy and Amy Slaton are completely getting screwed over by TLC, and you'll never believe all the reasons why. So guys, I think it's pretty obvious that Tammy and Amy are two of the biggest stars on TLC in years, right? I mean, it seems like every other minute they're going viral for something new that they've done.
I pay my bills are paid.
But now it's coming out that even though they're bringing in a ton of viewers to TLC, they're not getting paid nearly the same amount as other TLC stars, and it's honestly absolutely insane for a million different reasons. So here's what we know. In my opinion, Tammy and Amy are getting completely taken advantage of by TLC. There have been rumors going around for years that they were getting paid $5,000 per episode, and at approximately, 10 episodes per season, that puts them at about $50,000 per season each, which is a pretty good salary for a year. But the crazy thing is, about that is that there's only a new season every 18 months or so, which means that it works out to them only getting around $33,000 per year. And this is pretty much their only source of income at this point. They used to post on YouTube a lot, but now Tammy doesn't post anything, and Amy only posts like about one video a month. And the videos don't get a ton of views that are actually bringing in huge income or anything like that. But apparently that $5,000 number that's been floating around for years was actually way more than what they were actually getting paid, and they're finally going public with it. So supposedly both sisters only make $2,000 to $3,000 per episode, which means that at 10 episodes per season, that's only $20,000 to $30,000 total, and it has to last them for 18 months. And at that yearly salary would only be about $13,000 or, $20,000 per year, which is obviously way below the poverty line, and neither of them have regular day jobs outside of this. And I know what you're probably thinking, why don't they just get day jobs? Well, we all know that Tammy can't because she's in a rehab facility, and Amy is raising her children, but to me, that's not even the point. You would never see any other TLC star who is this successful and bringing in this much money for TLC being fine with only getting $2,000 to $3,000 per episode. I mean, they would have quit the show a long time before they'd let that go on. And I mean, can you even imagine if Cody Brown was only getting paid $20,000 per year from Sister Wives? He would have quit the show years ago. And speaking of, let's look at the Sister Wives salary just to really compare how insane it is that they're getting paid so little. The Sister Wives are obviously 5 people, and they allegedly make about $40,000 per episode. And for years, this went into a family pot of money, but now that they're all pretty much separated except for Cody and Robin. I think it's safe to assume that they're all getting paid separately, so individually they're each getting paid about $8,000 per episode, and right off the bat, that's about $5,000 to $6,000 more than Tammy and Amy are getting per episode. And then you have how many episodes Sister Wives makes each season, and there are about 17 episodes per season of the show, and the seasons come out once a year, and sometimes even more frequently than that. So I think it's safe to say that each of the wives and Cody are making about $136,000 per year from the show individually, and that's just a little bit different than Tammy and Amy's $13,000 per year salary, right? So what is going on? I mean, are Tammy and Amy just completely getting taken advantage of? Because, I mean, it makes sense, because we know that they don't have a ton of education, and TLC obviously knows that too, and I'd be shocked if they had lawyers or agents or anyone really who's advocating for them to make more money. And honestly, it's money that they are deserved. I know a lot of people want to say that it's just reality TV and that they don't really, have to do that much work, but let's be real for a second. They're being filmed constantly and refilming things and following the quote-unquote plot lines that TLC wants them to follow, and they're probably spending long days filming. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they're doing 12-hour days of filming during the times that they're filming, if not longer, and they deserve to be paid a fair wage for that. And regardless of our personal feelings about Tammy and Amy and their work ethics, they obviously deserve to be paid a fair wage if they're working 12-hour days or longer. Even if they weren't, I mean, they're generating a lot of money for TLC and deserve to be paid fairly for that. I mean, do you remember a few months ago when Amy started talking about how she was going to quit the show and focus on raising her children? Well, at the time, I think we were all shocked that she was willing to turn down the money that she was making from the show, but now, knowing what we know, I'm honestly not shocked at all. And if anything, I'm more shocked that she kept going for another season. Because if I were her and had 2 little kids and was only getting paid $13,000 for that much work, I probably would have quit. And it seems like that's what they were threatening to do now, and I don't know how they finally became aware of how underpaid they were, but I'm glad they did, because supposedly they're trying to get out of their current production company's contract, and in that contract they're not allowed to accept any other commercial opportunities while they're on the show, which means that they can't go on other shows, and I'm assuming that it means that they can't do brand deals, but obviously I haven't seen their contracts, so I'm not 100% sure about that. But if that's the case, that is just so messed up, because every other TLC star is doing brand deals all the time on Instagram, and I always wondered why Amy and Tammy didn't, and now it seems pretty obvious. And this contract that they're in says that they can't, and in my opinion, the worst part of this entire thing, even though it's all pretty bad if we're being honest, is that Tammy had to pay for her own rehab. Who knows, maybe it was covered by her insurance, but supposedly TLC's, production company wouldn't pay for it, even though it's a massive piece of the puzzle to her weight loss and getting healthy. And allegedly, Tammy had to empty her savings to pay for it. And again, we have no idea if this is true because we don't know the ins and outs of what her insurance looks like and all that. But if this is the case, and TLC has made her rehab, stay the entire plot of the season, I really can't believe that they wouldn't pay for it. I mean, especially if she's struggling so much that she had to empty her savings to pay for it. Wasn't the whole premise of the show at the beginning that Amy and Tammy were trying to lose weight so that they could have weight loss surgery because TLC was going to pay for it? And why did that suddenly change now that it's about her, rehab stint and not her weight loss surgery? It honestly just sounds like no one in her family is happy with their current production company, and supposedly Amanda's only getting $700 per month to be on the show, and no one thinks that the production company is being super truthful about what they show. And allegedly, when the family tries to have a serious conversation, they'll shut the cameras off if it doesn't go along with the storyline that they're trying to follow. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this entire season. And because of all the drama, I really can't imagine the Slatons sticking it out under these circumstances. And I think something is bound to happen sooner rather than later, whether they get a different production company or go to a different network or just quit the show altogether. I'm sure it's only a matter of time before we find out what's really going on here. And no matter what happens, I think we all can agree that we're happy that Tammy and Amy finally realized that they were getting taken advantage of, and hopefully they're able to get a legal team, some better agents, or something on their side advocating, for them to make some proper wages. But what do you guys think of all this? I mean, can you believe how little Tammy, Amy, and the rest of the family are getting paid? And what do you think finally woke them up and made them realize realized that they weren't getting paid enough.
What are you gonna do when we have our own?
Guys, we all know that Tammy Slaton just got married to a man named Caleb a few months ago, and from what we know, Tammy and Caleb seem to be very happy together, and we all thought that he seemed like a pretty good guy, but now some really weird things are coming out about him, like the fact that he's been jumping around between hospitals and rehab centers for years now, and that he left his home state of Indiana and followed Tammy to Ohio just because he wanted to meet her, and then proposed to her after only a few weeks, and so much more. You guys, seriously, you are not going to believe what just came out about this guy. This is so much crazier than we ever could have imagined, and now that we're seeing it all play out on TV, I think we're all realizing just how weird Tammy and Caleb's entire marriage has been so far. I mean, let's look at the facts here. Caleb literally followed Tammy to the rehab facility that she was at, and he found out who she was from the show, and then got transferred from a different rehab facility to her rehab facility because he wanted to meet her, and she said it like it was a good thing. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a crazy coincidence that they seem to have similar health issues at the same time. Literally, Caleb was on a ventilator during the exact same week that Tammy was in November of 2021, and that Caleb was inspired by Tammy's own health journey to get, healthy on his own, but I don't think he needed to follow her to Ohio to do that. And then when he was finally healthy enough to leave his room, he immediately went to find her and meet her, and then just 3 weeks later, they were engaged, and literally before anyone in Tammy's family could even meet him, and 2 weeks after that, they were getting married, and none of Tammy's family even met him until the day before the wedding, and it's not like their meeting went well, like at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think he's a bad guy. He seems super down to earth, funny, and just like a nice guy. I'm definitely rooting for him and Tammy in their love and even health journeys, but there's definitely something a little weird going on with him. Like, why did he seek out Tammy? Was it the fame or the money, or was it love at first sight when he saw her on TV? Because you can say that they just randomly fell in love, but he literally went to the specific rehab facility for her, and within 5 weeks of meeting her, they were married. So there must be some ulterior motive here, and now, 4 months after the wedding, Tammy's finally giving us some insight into what their marriage looks like. But first, we have to talk about what their marriage currently looks like in the first place, because there's an elephant in the room that Tammy hasn't even acknowledged yet, and that's that she's out of rehab, and Caleb appears to not be. So don't get me wrong, her siblings have brought it up on the show, like what would they do if Tammy got out of the facility before Caleb, because Tammy was clearly a lot further along in her weight loss journey and would most likely be leading before Caleb, but Tammy and Caleb both just completely blew it off and said that the goal was for Caleb to get out of rehab at the same time as Tammy, but honestly, anyone with eyes could see that that wasn't happening, and it was just clearly not a realistic goal, but they had no backup plan for what would happen if that was the case, so Tammy got out of rehab in January, and Caleb definitely did not, so we think. And I personally thought that she might find a place to live in the same city as, the rehab facility, since, her husband lives there still, but she didn't. Instead, she immediately drove home to Kentucky, and now let's just look at the map for a second. Tammy's hometown is in Dixon, Kentucky, and that is 7 hours from the rehab facility in Gibsonburg, Ohio, and Tammy can't even drive yet, so she's supposedly working on being able to drive again now that she's out of rehab, but from what we know, she isn't, so I don't know how she's even seeing him. I mean, do you think she's even seen him since, she left rehab almost 2 months ago? If I had to guess, I'd probably say she hasn't. And I mean, it's like, who would even have taken her to see him? And I think it's safe to say that Amy doesn't have the time, since she's supposedly leaving Michael and trying to take care of their 2 boys. But still, even given all this, Tammy is somehow giving an update on her marriage, and I don't know how she has anything to update us on. I mean, but from what she said, it's pretty funny, all things considered. So she claims that she loves waking up every morning, seeing his face, and seeing his face every night before she goes to bed, which I just don't understand, because they live 7 hours apart as far as we know, but I guess it's possible through FaceTime maybe? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but it definitely worries me that Tammy and Caleb don't know when, if ever, that Caleb will be able to come home. And, Chris said it best on the show. Tammy has been given a second chance at life. She really has. And guys, I am so incredibly happy for her. I mean, she's lost enough weight now that she's well on her way to being able to live the life of a person at a normal weight. And that did not seem like it was going to be the case in November of 2021 when she literally almost didn't make it. But the second that she got this second chance at life, she met Caleb, who, may not have the same outcome that Tammy has, sadly. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. If Caleb doesn't make the changes that he needs to make and loses the weight that he needs to lose, it's very possible that he could never leave the facility, at least not anytime soon. And just like Chris said again, he's listened to Tammy give him the same excuses that Caleb gave him over and over again for years. So is Caleb committed to his weight loss like Tammy is? And what will happen if he's never able to leave the facility? Will they make it? Will they get a divorce? Will they ever even see each other again? And even more importantly, what if he doesn't lose the weight and falls off the wagon again? Will he bring Tammy down with him? I mean, Tammy is obviously in a pretty vulnerable place right now. She needs people around her that are going to encourage her to keep up with her weight loss, not people who are going to encourage her to fall off the wagon with them. And obviously, we don't know what's going to happen, but there are definitely some concerns when you're dealing with two people who have the same issues surrounding food and weight loss, and the fact they both need to encourage the other to stay on track, literally, because their lives depend on it. So don't get me wrong, this is probably a better situation than any of her past boyfriends on the show, who definitely just wanted her to gain weight and stay unhealthy, even though they knew it was literally, awful for her and could take her life. So at least they're in a better place than that. But it definitely is kind of concerning that things could take a turn at any given moment. But what do you guys think about all this? I mean, do you think that Caleb might be good for Tammy and her health? Or do you think that it could possibly be dangerous for both of them if, either of them lose the motivation to keep going? And do you think there's anything suspicious about their relationship? Or do you think that they genuinely have a great connection? Guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I will say there has been so much heat and so much negative talk about how Caleb did follow her there. And it is a little bit weird, not gonna lie, a little creepy. But, definitely compared to the last two guys, he has what appears to be better intentions. He also appears to have a really good heart, and I think he is kind of adorable and funny and just... I am rooting for them. I think it's a little creepy. I think it's very much so rushed, but I will say two things. I'm rooting for them, and I will say this too. We have not seen Tammy this genuinely, consistently happy in a very long time. So yes, I want this thing to keep going, and I am rooting that he makes it out there and that he comes down to Kentucky and they live a happy life together.
Honestly, I'm trying to get better myself,
Guys, Caleb and Tammy have only been husband and wife since November, but it seems like everything is starting to fall apart for them already.
The more we talked and hung out and whatever, the more stress I was under.
Now, allegedly, they've been arguing so much lately that there might not be much hope for them left, and some people are starting to wonder if the couple is even still married. And guys, we just got a huge hint pointing to them being done once and for all, and this is really only the beginning of the drama going on with these two. So even though Tammy and Caleb's wedding only just aired on 1,000 Pound Sisters, so much has already changed since their big day. I mean, first of all, we just got news that Tammy has changed her TikTok name, and it's the biggest sign that things are over. So her name has been Tammy Willingham on there ever since they got married, and she just changed it back to her maiden name, Tammy Slaton, which you really only do if you're getting divorced, right? I mean, I think we can all agree that if they are getting divorced, it's not exactly shocking, and they did seem pretty doomed from the start, and Tammy definitely deserves the best, and he just doesn't seem to be the best fit for her, and there's just something off with him in my opinion, but hopefully I'm wrong and everything is fine with them. But apparently they've been having a ton of issues that led to her TikTok name change. So according to the US Sun, an inside source revealed that Tammy is extremely frustrated with Caleb right now, and in February she left the weight loss rehab center where she and Caleb had spent all of their time together, and that's when things took an unexpected turn for the worst. Supposedly, The couple had a plan in place to avoid being hundreds of miles apart from each other, but it just hasn't worked out at all, and what's actually happened since Tammy left is just insane. So Tammy's hometown of Dixon, Kentucky is a 7-hour drive from the Ohio Rehab Center, and that's why Caleb was originally planning to transfer to a facility that's only 25 miles from Tammy's house, which honestly is still pretty far considering that Tammy can't even drive. But nothing seems to be going according to plan, because now the possibility of Caleb actually transferring is like super uncertain, and everything seems to be up in the air and is completely tearing them apart. And reportedly Caleb knew that he was supposed to work out the transfer process with his insurance company, but from what we've heard, he has not followed through on this, and not by a mile. And the insider claimed that Caleb hasn't even made an effort to start figuring out the situation with his insurance company, which is why Tammy is so angry. And I can't lie, I mean, this is not a good sign at all. And Tammy and Caleb's struggles obviously didn't just start overnight out of nowhere, because the source also explained that at first Tammy was just sad about being away from her husband, but before long everything started to come crashing down when Tammy realized that being near each other seemingly wasn't important to Caleb, and she was really hurt and upset. And to tell you the truth, I think a lot of people would feel the same way. And if Caleb can't be bothered to take the first step to be closer to his wife, what does that say about their future? And they've allegedly been fighting so much lately, and it's hard to tell if they're even still together. And this is the most unbelievable part, is that Tammy and Caleb are both pretty active on social media, but they're almost never mentioning or tagging each other. The only exception is Caleb's Instagram, which only has one post, but you're not going to guess what Tammy has been sharing online, because although Caleb has a picture of the couple from their wedding day on his Instagram, it's not clear proof that they're still doing well, especially since one of Tammy's recent TikToks revealed her surprisingly flirty interaction with a guy that is not Caleb. You guys, as crazy as Tammy being flirted with in her TikToks was, I could barely believe it when I saw the caption. So she tagged the mystery man and even called him a bad boy, and the video was apparently from when Tammy was still in the rehab center, but still, I wonder what made her decide to post it now when her marriage is reportedly in not a great place. But that's not the only social media clue about how she and Caleb are doing, and you'll never guess what's next, because on Facebook, both Tammy and Caleb's profile stated that they're married to each other, but aside from a wedding photo from November, Caleb doesn't seem to share much about his wife. And what Tammy has posted on her account is just puzzling. So astonishingly, Tammy doesn't appear to have a single picture of Caleb on her Facebook. And this is obviously not because it could be an issue with TLC, since their wedding episode is already out there. So I wonder if Tammy and Caleb have been keeping quiet on social media about each other because of how intense their marital problems are. I mean, maybe they're actually trying to prevent a huge secret from being exposed. I don't really know. And if Tammy and Caleb have already called it quits, I'm sure TLC would want any spoilers about the relationship to stay under wraps. But that's not all, because there are quite a few reasons why some people doubt that the couple's marriage can stand the test of time, and these are seriously unreal, you guys. So since the very beginning of Caleb and Tammy's relationship, there were some aspects that didn't look very promising, and one of the factors that could cause more trouble for Tammy and Caleb is just all the uncertainty with his transfer, and it's tough to tell just how long he's going to be staying at the rehab facility in Ohio. But even if Caleb is able to transfer to the center in Kentucky soon, that doesn't mean it'll all be smooth sailing right away, and there are still some other unbelievable obstacles in their way. I mean, Tammy has lost over 300 pounds from her highest weight, which means that she can now comfortably sit in the seat of a car, but that doesn't mean that she's able to drive herself everywhere quite yet. And according to a different source who also spoke to The Sun, Tammy is only just starting to make progress with driving, and it's been a long time since she was able to safely drive on her own, which leads us to another hurdle that could be creating even more stress in her marriage, and it's pretty surprising stuff. So Tammy might have to rely on her family if she wants to make the 7-hour drive to visit Caleb in Ohio, and even if he can transfer, there will still be a 30-minute trip standing in their way. But that's just the surface level of a much deeper issue, because because neither of them are fully self-sufficient right now. And at the rehab center, there was around-the-clock medical care available, and obviously there's a lot at stake after the weight loss, surgery, and I can't even imagine trying to prepare for what it could be, basically unpredictable. And there are so many possible complications involved with or without the need for 24-hour care. So is Caleb going to be needing constant medical care for a while? I mean, even if he doesn't, there's still another important question about their situation. Will Tammy and Caleb both be able to live relatively independently anytime soon? Because despite how positive their relationship might be, relying on other people will almost always bring up some frustrations, and that leads to another potentially overwhelming problem, and that's that Caleb and Tammy have never lived together on their own in an actual home setting before, and honestly, their whirlwind romance could be a recipe for disaster because it could cause so many troubles that you guys would just never believe, and that is that if Caleb and Tammy might not know each other all that well yet, and they haven't really experienced a whole lot together, and I'm still blown away by how confident they seem to be that 3 weeks of dating was enough to know that they truly wanted to get married. And there's obviously a lot that Tammy and Caleb still have to learn about each other, and not everything is going to be positive, and they could uncover some unknown details about each other, and those might end up being deal breakers. And after all, many viewers don't have a lot of faith in Caleb for a pretty weird reason. So a lot of people have disliked Caleb right from the start, and that's partially because of his very strange confession. And it's just so weird that Caleb decided to go to the same facility after hearing that Tammy was living there, and Caleb's true intentions with Tammy have been questioned ever since he entered her life. And there are people who still don't trust him and think he's just using her for money or fame, and I can only imagine that that's led to at least some type of unexpected argument or drama. And after all, it's not just us fans who are weirded out by Caleb's kind of stalkerish behavior, but even Tammy's family had some concerns about him too, and I feel like that might have planted some small seeds of doubt in her mind at one point or another. And from what we've heard about their current status of their marriage, it seems like those little issues have become major problems in basically no time, and there are a shocking number of reasons why Tammy and Caleb's marriage might just not work out in the end. And it'll be interesting to see what the show reveals about what's really been happening behind the scenes. But anyway, what do you guys think about all this? I mean, do you think that they're still married? And what do you think about Caleb not prioritizing his facility transfer?
Guys, after months of speculation, we finally have confirmation from the actual source that Tammy and Caleb have split. Now, obviously, this isn't exactly shocking, and I don't think most of us were expecting them to make it after only dating for 3 weeks before getting engaged and then getting married 2 weeks later. But what was shocking was everything that Caleb revealed in his divorce announcement. So guys, I don't want to waste any time. Let's get into this. So Caleb made a pretty shocking announcement on his Facebook recently that confirmed what we had all been speculating about for a while, that he and Tammy are officially getting divorced. So here's what he said: "If you were only here for my wife, then please delete me now. We are married by paper only right now. Her decision, not mine. It was more than that. I'm hurt, mad, confused, and alone, even with others around. Thank you for your love, prayer, and support." Okay, so let's unpack this. First of all, this definitely seems like a confirmation that they actually were legally married, since he said that they're only married by paper only, and I still don't even know if I believe it though, because there just hasn't been one single person who has been able to find any record of them filing any legal paperwork to get married in the first place, not to mention the theory that they were only just, that they got married because they needed something big to end the season of 1,000 Pound Sisters. So it really all just adds up perfectly that they weren't even legally married in the first place, even though Caleb claims that they are legally married. But so far he seemed to be a pretty big liar, so I'm not sure that I even believe him. But then you have the next line that he does confirm that it was her decision, not his, which I think, that any of us could have seen coming, because Tammy is currently living her best life. Quite literally, this is the healthiest we've seen her in years. So it's like, what did she have to gain from the relationship with Caleb? And it doesn't seem like he was doing much at all to keep their relationship together. He's still in the rehab center in Ohio, and allegedly, even though they claimed that he was trying to move to a rehab center closer to Tammy's house in Kentucky, but I mean, let's just be real for a second. Caleb's rehab center was 8 hours away from Tammy's house, and as far as we know, she still can't drive a car. So the chances are that they haven't even seen each other since Tammy left the rehab center in January, and it's like, what kind of marriage is that? And it just seems like Caleb is full of a bunch of empty promises and kind of even lies, and like Tammy was just sick of it, which she kind of should be. And why would she waste her time with a liar who isn't doing anything to be with her, and who everyone thought was using her when she's in the best shape of her life and she's finally getting healthier? It really just doesn't make sense. And because they just weren't at the same place in life, and as far as we know, Caleb is still trying to lose the weight that he needs to lose so he can have weight loss surgery, and he was making a ton of empty promises about how he was going to do this that, past fall, and now it's spring and he appears to be in the same place. So it really just, it doesn't seem like there's any light at the end of the tunnel for him at this point. Meanwhile, Tammy's had the surgery and lost a ton of weight and is doing better than ever, and I don't blame her for not wanting to stick around and wait for him to fulfill his empty promises, because not even to mention that they really didn't even know each other at all when they got married. I mean, Caleb definitely had more to gain from this marriage than Tammy ever did, so it's not exactly shocking that she was the one who wanted the divorce. Caleb got the fame and the money for doing nothing, and even though he's not super well liked, and we knew that he was seeking her out for that exact reason, and the craziest part of this, at least to me, is that he actually kind of confirmed it, because we've been getting hints here and there for a while now, but Tammy changed her name on TikTok from Willingham back to Slaton, but she obviously couldn't come out and confirm it because she's under an NDA with TLC, and she has to wait for the show to reveal their divorce. But since Caleb officially confirmed it, that guys, Tammy and Amy have allegedly gotten into a fight, and it was so bad that they literally stopped filming 1,000 Pound Sisters. So what is going on with these two?
I try so hard not to freaking fight with you, but you keep digging in.
What caused them to get into a physical fight? Well, guys, the truth is pretty bizarre.
She treats me like I'm a dog.
Well, obviously, Amy and Tammy are both going through difficult times right now. Amy is getting divorced from her husband, Michael, and they have 2 very small children together. And then you have Tammy, who was doing amazing, but her estranged husband, Caleb, passed away a few weeks ago, and they're going through a lot.
Oh, I'm trying to let go, and you bring it up.
But it seemed like they were leaning on each other to get through it, until we just found out that that is not the case at all. They're actually doing the opposite. They're fighting.
If it ain't for you or about you, you don't care that other people are hurt.
And it got so bad that they apparently got into a physical fight. And the story of what happened is truly bizarre. So here's the deal. Allegedly, TLC took the entire family on a trip to Florida to celebrate the fact that Tammy has lost enough weight that she can travel without any issues. And it definitely seems like it was slightly weird timing, because it's only been a few weeks since Tammy's estranged husband, Caleb, unexpectedly passed away. But maybe they figured that it would be good for Tammy to get her mind off of everything. And that being said, there were rumors the Florida trip was actually before Caleb's passing, which we have no way of confirming. But if it was, that means that TLC wasn't filming when Caleb passed away, which is obviously going to be a pretty major part of next season. But either way, if the trip was to lift Tammy's spirits, it sounds like it did the exact opposite, because everything went horribly wrong when the entire family got into a physical fight, and apparently it was so bad that TLC stopped production of the show, and allegedly the film crew was there, but the fight wasn't filmed because of how bad it was. I mean, can you even imagine how bad that fight had to be that a production crew decided not to film it for a reality show? Like, that is reality TV gold, but apparently they didn't feel comfortable filming it, and it got so bad that the crew decided to take a 6 to 8 week filming break to give everyone a chance to cool off. But the weird thing is that no one is saying why they actually got into a fight, and supposedly it involved Tammy Amy and Amanda, but no one is saying why they were actually fighting, and I just can't help but wonder what could they have actually, been fighting about. I mean, maybe it had to do with Tammy's grief over losing Caleb, or maybe the family was just sick of Tammy's antics, and also, what could have happened that was so bad that TLC decided to take a break from filming? I mean, did they use racial slurs? Was the production crew involved in the altercation? Did someone get really hurt? Because it just seems so unlike TLC to actually punish a cast for a physical altercation. It seems like they kind of usually reward that behavior unless something extremely bad happens. And also, who started it? It really seems pretty obvious that it'd be Tammy, because we all know that she's known for starting fights, and I honestly can't think of one single time that Amy or even really Amanda have started a fight. But then again, it's definitely possible that Amy's emotions got the best of her after everything she's going through with Michael, and it's not like any of them are known for being super emotionally stable. I'm sorry, but it's true. So I guess it's possible that any of them could have started it. And as for their weight loss journeys go, we actually have a much more positive update. So it's unclear if Amy is still losing weight, but Tammy just keeps losing more and more weight. And it's honestly pretty crazy to see. So she's allegedly down 334 pounds, which is crazy when you remember where she started, because the most weight that she ever weighed was 717 pounds, which means that she's lost more than half her body weight. And I even saw someone bring up a super interesting point, and I wonder if she weighs less than Amy now, because it is definitely possible, but obviously hard to say for sure until we see where things stand with them on the show, if we even get to see this season now. I mean, considering their dramatic fight, you really never know what could happen. If they've stopped filming for 6 to 8 weeks, something bad must have happened, and you have to wonder if this might all end the show being canceled together. We've seen it before where TLC will kick people off a show for getting into horrible fights, like baby girl Lisa on 90 Day Fiancé. But what really happens when the entire cast is involved in a fight that was so bad that they halted filming? I mean, it would be insane if the show got canceled over this, especially because so many crazy things have happened since the last season aired, like Amy left Michael, Tammy left Caleb, Tammy got her weight loss surgery, and then Caleb passed away. And I think I speak for everyone when I say that we just want to see what happens, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But for right now, what do you guys think? Why do you think all three sisters got into a physical fight? And why do you think it caused TLC to stop filming? And do you think it'll put the fate of the show in jeopardy once and for all? Guys, please let me know what you think in the comments down below.